All right, we're live. I am excited, but so for those of you who don't know, I have the day off, and so I'm going to be actually working on comics during the day, which I usually am doing late at night. But it's a good opportunity to kind of catch up on my comics. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be basically working on Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I sent my publisher the roughs that I finished this morning. And initially, this is like the sequence where we had worked out a like kind of Frank King style thing where it was like a park scene and it was showing multiple frames and stuff like that of people walking throughout the park. I wanted it to read in like a Z pattern. And actually, it wasn't reading. It wasn't translating well to the publisher or to the writer. And so what I ended up doing was like a quick revision. And the second I did that, they were like, oh, I get it. This is awesome. So we're kind of making it work. Adam said listening while catching a nap. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. I hope I don't keep you awake from your nap. Basically, so I'll show you guys like the revision I did, and then we're going to basically get into doing roughing out page 36. And my goal is by the end of the day to have at least roughed out up to page 37. So we're joined by Adam and by Dee Dee in the chats. How's it going, Dee Dee? How's it going, Adam? I guess Adam's potentially taking a nap, so I'm sure that sounds like it's going pretty well. To somebody who's a parent, a nap sounds like a fantastic day to me. Like just the word nap sounds incredible. Scott said just tuned in, no work today. Yeah, I have the day off, and so I'm going to be just working on comics all day, which is kind of like a vacation for me, which I'm kind of excited about. So let's see here. And then Christopher is joining too. Awesome. Christopher said, hey there, everybody. And then Adam said, good vibes lately. And then I think everybody's stoked to see Dee Dee. And we're good to rock. So I should mention that I believe we're doing Artcasters tonight rather than on Thursday. We usually do it on Thursdays, but we had to kind of switch days. So tonight at like 9 p.m., stay tuned on Scott's channel, and I might be working on some of these roughs then. But anyhow, so now that I've kind of said my hellos to everybody and all that, let's get into actually making some art. So right here is what we're facing right now is the blank page. But before we do that, that's page 36. We're going to go through the script too and kind of break it down and see if there's anything we need to research. Luckily, from what I've gathered, it seems like we have all the research we need for this park and for the characters. So that's kind of good news. That should hopefully cut a little bit of the time out of the equation. But it is going to be interesting. There's some actions and stuff like that we need to break down. So before I get into breaking down the script, let's just show you what I had to do. Dee Dee said, did I hear research? LOL. Hopefully soon. I mean, I know there's like a carriage ride coming up. And that should be pretty awesome. Although I do think we've found the carriage, but I don't know. You never know when these roughs come up, like what kind of little details are going to need research. Coffee is so good during the day. Christopher was asking if everybody else is working while watching. I'm hoping that's the case. Although I think that Adam is napping while watching, which is, again, like that's an equally cool thing to be doing. All right. So this is what we ended up revising to. I think I should take off the guide so you guys can see it. So I should show you guys like the original and then why it wasn't translating. So let me show you the one we finished on the last stream, which is this. And I think this is actually a really valuable thing to kind of mention on stream before we kind of get into the next page. Anytime you try in comics to do something ambitious, like make people read from the left to right, and then go down and read from right to left. You have to be clear as day. Like, to me, the biggest job of a cartoonist is to be clear. A lot of early cartoonists especially suffer from that. Like, we learn how to draw, we learn how to make good pictures, and then we make comics that people can't even decipher or follow. And if there's one thing about my comics I'm really proud of, it's the fact that, like, if you buy Jacob's Apartment, if you buy 2 Stories and you read those books, there's nothing ambiguous about them. Like, they're very easy reads. I think the most challenging part of Jacob's Apartment is like possibly the first page, where it shows like 2 different timelines. But even that, I give enough visual cues to where I think people can figure it out from the read. What you don't want to do as a cartoonist, like, for instance, when I sent this to my publisher, and my publisher had a few, like, where I knew I had kind of like not been clear enough, my publisher was like, this is cool, but it's all showing from the same perspective. Can we kind of change it up a little bit? And to me, that was an indicator they're not understanding that this is supposed to be all in the same scene. Similarly, the writer was like saying, well, on panel 4, how come they're all spread out from each other, whereas on panel 2, they seem really close? So then that indicated to me that they're reading from left to right, even though I tried to give visual cues to lead the eye from the right to the left. This is why it's good to do roughs, right? Because revising this wasn't as difficult. So my goal on this original page was gonna be to like have it be something like this. Here, I'll just draw the path of the eye that I was trying to get people to read. Let's do it in a really obvious color, in a really thick old Wacom thing. So I was trying to get people to read where they follow the path down here, then they come back around. That's the way I was trying to get people to read. But the feedback that I got made me realize people were reading in standard fashion, right? That's how you're going to read in the US. So what I needed to do was make a revision that's going to force the eye to go down here, so that they could then, the eye will, like, once you're down here, you're naturally going to go back over here. And then similarly, I needed another device that's going to force the eye down here, and probably to clean up this panel a little bit so it didn't look so out of place. So that was my goal for my publisher, and it ended up being a real quick fix. And the second I fixed it, they were really excited about this page, because they're like, oh, that's cool. It's like the same scene. And it's like, yes, that's what I was going for. But I don't feel like if I sent this to my publisher and they read it wrong, and then the writer read it wrong, like if one person were misreading it, that would be possibly them. But if it's more than one person who's reading it in a way I didn't intend it, that means it's a failure of communication on my part, as far as I'm concerned. So let's go to the change. So the change that I did was to unify the 2 panels, so that there is no question in the reader's mind that they're supposed to go here. The second I did that, they started seeing, oh, it's a connected scene. And then similarly, I unified these 2 panels, and then I centered these characters so it kind of looked like a more intentional last panel. But I think the second I unified those 2, it made it really clear what I'm doing. And it makes the page work. So not necessarily exactly like Frank King, but still using that Frank King trick that I was all excited about on the last few streams. And also doing it in a way that pleased the publisher. And actually a really good example of why it's really good to have an editor and collaborators on your work, because an editor is going to be the one to tell you, hey, I'm not reading it that way. And most of the time, they're kind of like filling in for the general public, which the general public, I don't think, would have read it the way I had thought they would when I was working on it, as excited as I was about the page. So that is the revised page. And now let's get into page 36, which is going to return to like kind of more standard, probably like 9-panel grid type layout. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful for you guys too. And then Dee Dee was saying, I worked all morning, Christopher, taking a break, almost 4 here. Wow. Christopher said, same here. And then Scott said, I'm working. Not sure how long I can stay on. I may need to go into focus mode. And we got Ronnie Gunter, Crimson Owl Comics, joining us as well in the chats. And we got a full house. So it seems like a lot of really good, awesome cartoonists just kind of rocking and working together on stuff, which is pretty awesome. All right. So let's get into this. So the first thing I do for people who might be tuning in for the first time or like second time, I doubt, I doubt there's too many people tuning in for the first time. Oh, Landon's joining us too. Hey, Landon, how's it going? Philip said, watching you on my phone while making lunch. That's awesome. Yeah, and then Dee Dee said, thumbs up, everyone. It helps Josh's channel. Hey, thanks. That's a good point. Yeah, if you guys give a thumbs up while we're streaming, if you're enjoying this, yeah, it does help. Thank you, Dee Dee, for mentioning that. I always forget to mention that. So we've got basically this tactic that I use when I'm breaking down a page from script to rough. The first thing I do is I'll do a list, which is like basically a text, just me writing down and breaking down the script into like, hey, what actionable things do I need from this script? Like what how many panels is this going to be? So I try to break it down on text, what panels I'm going to do. From there, I'll go and do a thumbnail, which is like a really quick little sketch. And then from there, I'll go and do my tight rough. And that's kind of what we'll be doing here. So here we go. So on the last page, this is just to get the setting. So basically, Robert and Elizabeth Barrett Browning have taken their relatively young child from Italy to England to meet her family, because her family, other than Arabelle, have been pretty much returning all of her letters. And so they have speculated. Robert basically said, we're going to England and we're bringing Penn to your family, and your family's going to fall in love, and your father's going to accept this kid because he's amazing, which a good father would do, right? So they have finally, now we flash forward to London, where they're at, I think, what's called the Regent's Park. And they have basically the aunts and uncles have all met Penn, and Penn and then Arabelle and Robert sort of meet, and we find from their dialogue that she's been sending letters and that they were greatly appreciated, and that she's going to now accept Robert, and said sorry if it took us a while to come around to like accepting you, kind of thing. So before we get heavy into like research or anything like that, let's just break down the script. So now we're on page 36. And I've made a copy of page 34. The reason for that is it's going to have left-sided bleeds and proper safe areas, which is good to know. I always encourage people, have your bleeds and safe areas from the earliest iterations of your book, because like the size of your book being formatted properly from the get-go is going to save you a lot of work. One of the best ways to get things right in post is to get them right in pre. That's an old film idea, because post-production quite often takes longer. Like fixing it in post actually tends to take longer than just getting it right at the first get-go. And that goes like 100% when it comes to like formatting the size of your page. Okay, I'm going to stop rambling about page sizing, and we're going to actually get into this. So, okay, number 1, page 36. Okay, I'm going to just call this my notes. Apparently, I'm going to write it like noits. Noits. Okay, so notes. Arabelle and Elizabeth stroll arm in arm through the park. Okay, so we're going to say Arabelle, who I'm going to call AB, and EBB, that's Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Henrietta, and Robert and Penn strolling. They are arm in arm. The rest of the siblings walk merrily behind. So who are the rest of the siblings? We got to go back to the first page. So we've got Charles and Daisy. Poor Charles and Daisy. Charles and Alfred in back. Okay, so we're going to have 4 people walking. 2 of them are arm in arm. There's a kid who's with them, so it'll be 5 total. They're in the front of the group, and then we're going to have Charles and Alfred in the back. So that's good to know. Oh, I love that. I didn't know that was a Hitchcock thing. I agree with that entirely. Where he says Hitchcock used to say that once the storyboards were finalized, the film was pretty much finished. The rest is technical. Well, I also know that Hitchcock did like tight storyboards, like from what I understand. I know this might be weird, but it's like I think Saul Bass used to do, I believe he used to do storyboards. Like I think he worked on the storyboards for Psycho, and they're kind of incredible. Like you wouldn't really associate those with like the Vertigo poster or something like that. Like you wouldn't think like there's these like formally technical, beautiful storyboards. But I think if you Google Saul Bass Psycho storyboards, you'll be like, whoa, like they're so incredible. Like I actually want I want a book of I should look into that and see if there is a book that's like all of Saul Bass's storyboard work, because that would just be a cool thing to own. That was a man who was like way too talented. I'm a huge Saul Bass fan too, so I love Saul Bass. Philip said, I was fascinated with Saul Bass's work for years. Yeah, I think he's just a genius, you know. Him and like Milton Glaser. And then Landon Huber said, Norman. All right. So here we go. That's the first part. We've got that where they're walking arm in arm. I feel like some of this dialogue could probably be there. Arabelle dialogue. Robert. I actually like the idea of mixing that. Arabelle, Robert, and Arabelle, Robert, and Elizabeth. So I think this could all be in the first panel if we do like a big panel. So it's basically going to have Arabella saying Penn is a lovely boy. Robert is going to say he is spoiled, which is all his mother's doing. And then Elizabeth is going to say, I cannot help it. He is such a sweet little thing. And then there is an awkward silence. So here's the question. Here's another question that kind of comes up when you're doing comics. How do I show an awkward silence? I mean, I almost feel like if there's an awkward silence, that needs to be a panel. This is a big question mark. Maybe it doesn't need to be there. Maybe that awkward silence will just exist between the panels. Okay, now we're going to have 3 or potentially 2 if we decide to ditch the awkward silence panel. It might be funny to just have an expression where everybody's quiet and there's no dialogue. Like that can kind of create like a tempo, but we'll see. Elizabeth is going to say, does father know we are in London? Henrietta is now going to speak and say, we were not brave enough to tell him. Arabella is going to say, I'm sorry, Ba. And then Elizabeth is going to say, it was to be expected. I had hoped. Okay. So we've got EBB, Henrietta, Arabelle. I guess I should just call her AB. And okay, dialogue. It's a lot of dialogue. And then a happy little hug. She gives Arabelle a happy little hug. So this will be 4. Hug and EBB dialogue. Easy enough. Is that really it for the page? Hey, that's not too bad. It's a nice wide page. There's a lot of dialogue in that first panel, so we'll see how this breaks down. All right, so now that we have our little breakdown of what the sketch is going to be, I think we're going to need to thumbnail. And after I thumbnail, we'll gather all our research that's necessary, and then we'll rock and roll. All right. So I'm going to call this thumb. All right, let's see if we've got this correct. So panel 1 could be a wide one. It could start with another nice wide panel. So Arabelle and Elizabeth are going to stroll arm in arm. Let's try this out. So Arabelle and Elizabeth. This is a thumbnail, not even a rough, so we don't need this to be perfect. Arm in arm, so they should be like, there we go. Elizabeth's going to be arm in arm with her. And I like the idea of maybe Arabelle is looking over here, right? This is a thumbnail at this point, so it does not matter too much how large it is. And she's going to be saying, Penn is a lovely boy. So that could be up here. And then it could be that Robert, who's right beside them. Henrietta, Robert, and Penn. So Henrietta is going to be here beside them. And then here's going to be Robert. Robert's going to be here, kind of like I like the idea of him kind of reaching over almost to explain it. So this is going to be it's all his mother's doing. Okay. Now this is one of those reasons why thumbnails are great too, because it takes like 2 seconds to do these. And I've already worked out that I want this to be a taller panel. This can be cool. Okay. We're kind of better working out how this is going to go. So she's going to say, Penn is a lovely boy, or whatever. He's going to say, it's all his mother's doing. Okay, better organization. Penn is a lovely boy. It's all, still needs to go up higher. Penn is a lovely boy, or whatever. It's all his mother's doing is going to be here. And then this is going to be the I cannot help it, blah, 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 right? So now we've got this kind of roughly laid out. Robert should have his head a little more over here. Wow, that's going to be an interesting panel. I kind of like the idea of cropping it a little bit higher. And maybe we can have some background stuff like trees or whatever path that they're on. All right. So that's going to be that. This is a thumbnail. Awkward silence panel. I think for the awkward silence, maybe we can focus more on. So maybe this will be. This is going to be kind of Elizabeth, like very proudly saying something that it sounds like was awkward. Why would there be awkward silence? Curious. I think it's awkward silence because they're going to talk about the thing that shall not be talked about. So maybe Robert is looking down at this point just to. Henrietta is going to be here. Okay, that's the awkward silence panel. Then the next panel is going to be a more focused one of, let's see, does father know we're in? So it's going to be Elizabeth, Henrietta, Arabella, Elizabeth. So maybe it can be Arabelle kind of here. Maybe we can have Elizabeth. So I think I've got how this is going to be framed. So this will be, does father know we're in London? And then she's going to say, we were not brave enough to tell him. And then this is going to be the, I'm sorry, Ba. The awkward silence panel can be a little bit shorter. We're going to finish this crappy thumbnail. The whole point of the thumbnail is for me, not for, my publisher or anything like that. It's like, I want to know what's going to happen here. Okay, so then we've got, how is everybody, by the way? What are you guys all working on? We've got Landon, who said, hey, Dee Dee, hey, Ronnie. We've got Philip, who was talking about Saul Bass's work, which is pretty exciting. Got some excitement going on. But you are here. How can I be unhappy? This is the hug. Something like that. And I kind of like the idea of that being cropped in a little tighter. This was going to be Henrietta. Robert. Or we could do something to kind of reestablish that it's in the park. May not be bad. Let's do something to reestablish that it's in the park. Before we go and do that, though, let me save this part. The great part of thumbnails is they're barely time consuming at all. So you can just kind of know that it's going to be okay. So could be okay. And this could be the little hug. Again, the little hug could be there. I like the idea of this being like a kind of almost like an overhead shot. Maybe that can allow the kid to run a little bit, but this would be cool. As like a kind of establishing the sequence. I know there's kind of like a fountain kind of thing that we could look up. Potentially be something like over there, and then we could have just some trees. But it's like reestablishing the location, I think would be good. I actually think that would be really good. But we don't need that wide of a thing. So there we go. Gary said afternoon streaming. I hope you didn't get canned. No, not at all. Don't worry. No, this was just me taking a day off. Kind of needed a refocusing day. So, which for me, like a day like that is working on comics. But no, this was a vacation day, not anything crazy, so don't worry. Let's see here. Dee Dee said Gary. Landon said, I'll be releasing a new art process feature soon of me creating an illustration, Frankenstein versus the Mummy, hopefully this weekend. Sounds awesome. As a commission, which I took the liberty to make a video with. Cool. You should clear that with who you're getting the commission from. And then Gary was saying, I'm at the day job, so Squatchy can chill. That's true. That's true. You know why Gary is always at his day job? Because he's always working, Squatch. Always. I spoke for you, Gary. All right. So we have the thumbnail kind of worked out. I think that's actually going to kind of work. I like that last panel being kind of above. And now we can get into the fun of roughs. The joy of roughs. Kind of strange, but let's see if we can do this. All right, cool. We've got it. Okay, so I'm going to play a trailer super quick for Jacob's Apartment, and then we're going to get into roughs. So this is the trailer for my book, Jacob's Apartment. I'm going to get some coffee, and then we're going to rock start rocking some roughs. Here is that trailer. Voila. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we these things we've seen and walk around breathing I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. Oh, nice. Landon was saying he just purchased the original, so he's got the rights for reproduction and stuff like that. That's good. As long as you work that out. Yeah, with clients, I always try to keep everything very like professional, above board with so they know what rights they're getting and what rights I'm getting. But especially with commissions, it is really important for people to understand, like, just because you're buying an original doesn't mean you're buying the rights for reproduction, you know? Sometimes you are, sometimes you aren't. Depends on your contract. So, all right, we're going to do this as a wide shot. Let's see here. But that sounds awesome, Landon. I look forward to kind of seeing what you make there. Dar. It's not quite Tuck Like a Pirate Day. I shouldn't say thar. Okay, here we go. We're going to kind of move this down and kind of make some progress. Some sweet, sweet progress. So right now what I'm doing is I'm using some of the panel borders that I've sort of established for these roughs already. And I'm roughly basically giving myself like borders. And again, like the whole function of roughs is to like work out like the staging, the lighting, the story beats, like whatever emotion you want the people to have. And you're also benefiting yourself by like allowing for revision. So like it's great to do this method. I recommend doing this on your own work, but with client work, this is great too, because what I started this stream with, where I was showing the scenario where I had, sent like a previous version of this to my publisher, and not this, but page 35. And they had some really like specific feedback that meant I needed to change it. Now imagine if I had taken that all the way to finish. The changes took maybe a whole of like 10 minutes to do. I got approval, and so I'm good. And I know that and that's happened throughout the roughs, like where there'll be like a slight expression change or something like that. And it's like at the rough stage, these are minor things to do, minor little improvements to make. At the final stage, now we're talking like hours of work, right? So it's like doing revisions at this early stage is really helpful, and also doing tighter roughs so that your client knows what you're showing them is really good too. And I've just found for my own personal work, this has improved my comics quite substantially too, to kind of do more thorough roughs. Landon was saying that's why I work my commissions. If they want copyrights, then I keep the original. If they want the original, I keep copyrights. If they want both, they must pay more. That's a fair thing. I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have clear expectations set between clients and artists. I think one thing I've noticed as an art director is a lot of the times just unclear expectations and unclear communication can lead to a lot of trouble. Whereas generally, like as long as there's clear lines of communication, everybody's crystal clear on what's going on. Generally, people are trying to do a good job, and so people tend to get along in those cases. Usually, if there's a breakdown in communication, then that's going to be like the area where you see like conflict or things like that. Because, let's say a client is expecting a drawing of the Colosseum with 150 people in the audience, each rendered perfectly, and they get like a real quick sketch of the Colosseum that has just like circles for people's heads. Well, like if the client's expectation wasn't prepared for what was going to happen there, you might end up with like a really dissatisfied client. Whereas like clear expectations where you're like, hey, this is a giant crowd scene for your budget. We're going to basically have to reduce and simplify the characters so that it indicates a crowd, but we're not drawing in detail everybody in the crowd. And in those cases, then you're like, okay, now you've got a happy client, you've got a happy you, everybody's happy. And then they all hold hands and listen to happy music. Why am I talking about client expectations? At this point, I feel like I'm delaying a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to save, and then we're going to open page 35 up because I have a bunch of references that I want to kind of pull that we already looked up. And so why recreate the wheel? Like we want to grab a bunch of the references we've already looked at. Okay, first things first, because this is going to continue from this page, I'm going to go ahead and do merge visible, and then I'm going to copy. Make sure to not save this rough too, because I like having my rough with the original layers. This is just going to be a little reference as we're working on the page. Like, okay, this is what happened on the previous page. This is going to give me an idea of like the costumes that the characters are wearing and stuff like that. That's good to have. That's good to have. All right, let's get into the references that we're going to find. Do we want the bridge at Regent's Park? I just realized you guys aren't able to see this because it's outside. Okay, there we go. You should be able to see this now. So do we want the bridge at Regent's Park? Like what area of the park are we going to kind of have this in? Is it going to be more in the garden? I think that actually might make more sense because right there, that is what I want to show. I want to show this cool chimera. I think that's a chimera, right? Like the lion. It like that's got wings. I can't. Maybe that's not a chimera. Maybe I'm getting my fantasy creatures wrong. What is a lion with wings? Do you guys remember? You guys probably know your fantasy creatures better than I do. Fantasy creature pop quiz, you guys. Okay. Let's get back here to where we once belonged. Okay, that was the interesting, fascinating Gasoline Alley inspiration. That's the top of the park. I don't think we're going to need that. So I think we've got our park references. That's another example. Oh, I should show this, though. That's another example that's doing a little bit of what I was talking about. Like, isn't that great? Isn't that just amazing? I want to see Gary Hodges do this. Ah, thank you. Thank you, Gary. I knew somebody was going to come in with that epic knowledge. And he said, I think you mean a griffin. Thank you. It should have been a griffin. And that's not even I should have known that because Gryffindor. Shame. Shame on me. Again, like this is going to be the. Yeah. And then Scott said Gryffindor for the win. I don't know about Gryffindor winning in this scenario. I'm just saying, like, Hufflepuff is pretty badass. So that's all I'm saying. I may not. It's not like I'm biased because I've taken a bunch of quizzes and ended up being Hufflepuff. That's not the case at all. Oh, nice. He said, I saw your Gasoline Alley example, and I have two small examples of that in Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots in 1979. I love it. That's exciting because I feel like that has to be used. It behooves a cartoonist to not, to do that. Okay, so I do kind of like. I do like this as a little bit of a reference as well. So we'll kind of go ahead and get that in there. My goodness. I should be getting that in there. What is going on here? So did you guys ever get into Flight of the Conchords? I'm curious if anybody was into Flight of the Conchords as it was happening. I thought it was pretty awesome. I'll admit I kind of dug Flight of the Conchords. Gary said, I'm more Team Ravenclaw. Nice. You would be, Gary. You would be. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. It's funny. I did read all the books and I enjoyed the Harry Potter series and stuff, but it's been a long time. Also, Gary said, I love Flight of the Conchords. Nice. Flight of the Conchords. Anyhow, I think I was asking why at some point on this stream. Like I was asking myself, like, why? But then I was about to say, be more constructive with your feedback. And then I was remembering the hippopotamus part of Flight of the Conchords, which if you guys have not watched the Flight of the Conchords rap, it's amazing. But there's a point where he drops the line, I'm the hippopotamus. My rhymes are bottomless. It's so stupid in a great way. Okay. Anyhow. Dee Dee said, oh, it is the distant future, the year 2000. I love that. And then I like 3 Days of the Condor, said Dee Dee. Nice. And then Jim said Gary should be mentally preparing to submit his top 5 films. There's a lot of pressure. People are counting on this. When is that? When are you guys doing your stream? I'm very excited about that myself. Okay, this is for a future. That is the carriage, you guys. This is like a sneak peek of the carriage that we've done some research to find. That very carriage will be coming up shortly. That's an exclusive, you guys. Henrietta, I think we were going with this for Henrietta, not this. Tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific. Oh, no. Scott, you've crossed our streams. You have crossed our streams. I forgot that they were doing that tonight. All right, you guys. Well, thanks, Scott Circland, for crossing our streams, because that was all Scott. I'm sorry, Scott. I'm like throwing Scott under the bus. I don't think Scott realized that was going to overlap, you guys. I think, so full disclosure, what happened, I think it's like, and then Philip was saying he's supposed to be doing a stream too. Oh my gosh, you guys. Yeah, so basically what happened with Scott, Scott wasn't trying to be vindictive. It's just like behind the scenes, he was like, hey, Josh, I really dislike Gary Hodges and Jim Lujan. No, I'm just kidding. No, behind the scenes, he just said like, hey guys, I totally forgot I had bought tickets for a concert, which I totally understand. That happens a lot. And then he needed to switch it to today. So I was like, okay. And honestly, if anyone's at fault, it's me, because I am dumb and I forgot about all these other streams because I am dumb. So if you want to blame someone for the stream overlap, although if we wanted to make content out of our streams overlapping, maybe we can do that. For everybody streaming tonight, what is something goofy we could do that would like make all our streams interactive, like some sort of secret crossover? Because that could be really funny. Should we all pretend that we're having a war of the streams or something? I think we need to. Or could we come up with like a conspiracy that connects all of the streams? Oh, I love it. Jim Lujan, new top 5 ideas, top 5 ways we've been screwed. And then Jim said top 5 most hating art casters. But I do kind of feel like we could make something happen where there's like a deep interwoven there's got to be a way we could do like a deep interwoven thing. Okay. So anyhow, let's see here. We are trying to find, I think I have all the siblings now. And I cannot for the life of me. Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Oh, okay. That's Penn. That's the outfit that he's wearing. So we did need that. And I needed one other reference that I know is hiding somewhere here. Probably under Elizabeth in the previous one. Gary said, no, in fact, one of our show's distinguishing characteristics is our total disdain for the audience. Carrie is correct. In fact, my original suggestion was to pre-record the show. Don't worry about it. Or Gary is correct. Jim, you called Gary Carrie. Oh my gosh. I'm just kidding, by the way. I think a G and a C are like real close to each other on the keyboard. And autocorrect is a pain in the butt. I still think we should do something. I mean, if we're all going to be streaming around the same time, we ought to take advantage of that and make it a giant crossover event of some kind. Maybe we can just put in like a little Easter egg that just somehow ends up following each stream. You guys tell me if you have an Easter egg that you would be interested in us pursuing. I think that could be real fun. I don't feel like this was the one she was wearing, though. Hold on. Let's see if we can get this. That's true. Gary was saying, now I have to wonder if Carrie is one of Jim's top 5. And then he said, maybe Artcasters should be a live viewing of top 5. I like that idea. His telekinesis powers. That's true. That's telekinesis, Gary. Telekinesis on Jim Luhan's part. Jim has shown a like certain clairvoyance in the past. Henrietta. Did we already copy Henrietta over? Okay, we did have Henrietta. So I think we're almost all set. So the one frustrating thing about historical fiction is I need all of these references. I need them. I need to know what are the... there it is. There's Elizabeth's outfit. That's the outfit we went for with Elizabeth. And at this point, we just need Robert, and we're good to go. Compiling all the references, you guys. Okay. There was a Robert somewhere. There he is. There you are, Robert. So that Robert is going to go up here. And I believe we're all set at this point. I believe that's all the siblings. Oh my goodness. Yes. Gary understood my my Tenacious D reference there where he said that's telekinesis, Kyle. Maybe we can all say the code word is Fidelo. Dee Dee said, why don't you all just stream together? Philip said, sorry, I missed the discussion. Are you guys doing a top 5 movie discussion tonight? So Jim and Gary have been planning on doing this top 5 thing, and they've mentioned it a few times on Wednesday, and I just didn't associate that with today. Philip, you were going to do your stream, which is usually on Wednesdays. And then I just was shocked to kind of find out that like we are, well, I wasn't really shocked to find out. Just Scott had bought tickets to a concert for Thursday, and so we switched it to Wednesday. So there's like a big crossover of the streams, which I do not think is a big deal. I think we can all manage. I think we can pull it off and all stream and be okay. That's what I'm guessing. And that's true. Jim was talking about his busy Chippendale schedule. He said, I can only do tonight, my Chippendale schedule. And that is Rescue Rangers, not any other association people might make with the Chippendales. Dee Dee said, that will be cool, Gary. I didn't know you were starting something new. Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. I would agree with this take, Gary. I think Tenacious D's 2001 album might be a top 1 album for me. I absolutely love that album. Comma splits, sorry. Let's see here. And then Dee Dee, if we could link all the streams, they would be awesome. I do like that idea. All right. And then Paul said, just got out of work and you're still here. Well, I'm kind of returning back. I'm about an hour in. And then Gary said, when parody is better than the real thing. I agree. I love it. All right. You guys, we have all our references compiled. I'm going to show you. So we've got a page with references abounding. We've got a page that has this awesome thumbnail, so I know where my map is for it. We have our previous page that has all of the sequence of the last page. And now we are about ready to rock and roll. I want to do one quick thing. Then we're going to take a quick trailer break for coffee. I should just call it a coffee and cigarette break, but it's not really cigarettes. Still, it just sounds cooler when it's when you say coffee and cigarette break. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe nowadays that just isn't the cool kids anymore. So we're going to save, and then I will take said break. Oh my goodness. Landon also said, they were great, but I sat behind a really stinky person that smelled like they didn't take a shower for a year. Oh, when he saw Tenacious D at San Diego Comic-Con in 2005. I saw Tenacious D, I think I can't remember. It was probably 2004. It was a long time ago, maybe 3 or 4. And they opened for the Foo Fighters. And I think it was it couldn't have been the Color and the Shape tour. It was a long time ago though. So it was it might've been a little bit after Color and the Shape. It wasn't too far in, but I remember they opened for the Foo Fighters and they just owned the audience. And I'm not going to quote the name of the song, but the Softly song, that song was played by Jack just solo, to this giant auditorium. This is back when there was a big venue at Universal City Walk right next to Universal Studios. And I think it was just called the Universal Amphitheater, but it's this giant theater at the time. And it's a packed audience, and you had just thousands of people just roaring in laughter from that song. They masterfully just controlled the crowd. And it was kind of stunning. And then that's true. Jim said, Tenacious D, in my opinion, are the forefathers of Flight of the Conchords. Yes, I agree. Cool. So I'm going to put on the trailer for 2 stories, and then we're going to actually get into drawing this page, getting the roughs done. So I will be shortly back. Jim said top 5 beverages. We got to save that for a top 5 episode or something. I'm about to get into roughs. I'm like, whew. Let me think about it. Okay, Jim, you got to clarify. Are you talking alcoholic beverages? Or are you talking non-alcoholic beverages? Are we just talking like beverages in general? I have definitely had that moment, Landon, where you sit behind like just the worst people at a show. The worst concert I ever went to was also one of the best concerts I've ever seen. And it was at the Greek Theater. I went to see Explosions in the Sky, which is like, honestly, if you guys have the option to see Explosions in the Sky, like they are easily like one of the best live bands you will ever see. Like they're just cinematic. It's like a cinematic experience. It's hard to explain. They're just, if you guys haven't heard Explosions in the Sky, they're like a rock band with no vocalist. They do a lot of soundtrack work. So they did the soundtrack to Friday Night Lights, the movie. That whole soundtrack is this band Explosions in the Sky, and it's all very instrumental, very orchestral, like progressive rock. And it is like powerful live, like one of the most powerful experiences live. But it's also, going to see Explosions in the Sky is like watching a rock concert, but it has more of the vibe of going to like a classical music concert, because it's a very like moving cinematic kind of feel to the music. So imagine you're at like a show to see this music that's very like, it's got like these moments of like giant sound where everything builds, and then these moments of like quiet where it's like, it's very much like, seeing classical music where an orchestra will die down to where you're just hearing the flute or something, like, and it's like that, but with rock music. And then when you're at the Greek, and every time it dies down in silence, you have this girl on the phone being like, "Oh my gosh. So then the other day, Susan at work," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, are you seeing the concert?" She's like sitting right in front of me. And I was like, "Are you watching the show that's like right in front of you live?" Like, because the whole time she's just on the phone, like, "And then what he said on the date, I just couldn't believe it." And like, we're getting this drama about like her dating life and her friends and all of this stuff on a cell phone at a live concert. And it's one of the best bands you could ever see live. It was one of the most heartbreaking experiences, because it's like, you're getting, I guess it's like a very existential moment where we were getting like this beautiful thing, and then one of the most annoying things, like annoyance and beauty just paired together, like darkness and the light. It was like the dark side and the light side of the force, like all at the same thing. But if you guys are familiar with, like, first off, how hard it is to get tickets to see Explosions in the Sky, and then second off, that music, and you imagine just having this momentous music where you're feeling it, and then every time it ebbs down, like, "And then Glenda did this and I couldn't believe it," and you're like, "Oh my gosh, just don't, oh, why don't go to the show?" Anyhow, that was an interesting moment. Non-alcoholic, specific brand if you like. Oh, I like it. Okay, I'm gonna go classic. I'm gonna say I like Mexican Coke. Like, Mexican Coca-Cola is one of my favorite drinks. I don't have it very often, because I don't drink soda a ton. But I will say there is just something about like a bottled Coke, and like that, the Mexican one in particular, where it's got like just pure sugar. It's so good. I adore Mexican Coke. Um, Dee Dee was saying coffee. I agree with Dee Dee 100%. We're gonna call this roughs. You guys will not distract me from doing my art too. Although honestly, I love the chat. I'm so excited to have the distraction and the company while I'm working on stuff. Let's see, number 3. First person here in this is going to be, let's look at our list. It should be Arabelle. Arabelle is this lady right here. this lady right here. So Arabelle's going to be here. We're going to just block it in a little bit. And she is going to be saying, Penn is a lovely boy. Okay. So we're going to have her type first. Penn is a lovely boy. I think I've given 2 answers so far, so I owe you a couple more. Great question, Jim. I also want to know the chat's top 5 beverages, non-alcoholic. That's a really good question. And by the way, for coffee, it's like, I like just a really good cup of coffee black. Like, that is 9 times out of 10, that's my go-to for like a beverage. I do like I agree with Dee Dee on that. The Pete's Major Dickinson's blend dark roast is really good. It is really good. Very nice. Gary said, fresh lemonade, lapsang tea, iced black tea, ginger beer, and black coffee. Wow, Gary, you and I in the black coffee. We're like black coffee brothers. Penn is a lovely boy is going to be the first line. Okay. I kind of liked the other setting where it was going to overlap. Lovely boy. That's a good point, Gary. Mr. Pibb over Dr. Pepper. I think there's a group of people out there who would consider that heresy. I will say I have a new favorite. This is a little bit of a change up. But Trader Joe's sells like watermelon juice. It's like it's like made the same way as like lemonade or something like that, but it's just watermelon juice, and it is one of the most delicious things. It's just like a big jug of just watermelon juice. I love that. So I'll put that as number 3 because that's this could change tomorrow, but that's been really fun for me to kind of experience. Okay, horchata. That'll be like on there on the list too. I love a good horchata. So there we go. Where am I at? Like 4? I think that's 4. Unsweetened iced tea would be at Jim's top. I like that. Dee Dee put lemon water. Philip said, hard for me to pick 5, but I do drink a lot of tea. Dee Dee said cranberry juice. Nice. I will say, like, okay, if I'm just talking like favorites, now I'm gonna blank out on the specific brand of root beer, but there is a type of root beer, and it usually has honey in it, and it's like Saint somebody's root beer. It has like the little metal top where it goes like, and like that is deathly good, but that's a close tie. I'm going to cheat and throw in a 6, just saying I'm torn between these two. Between that and orange cream soda. I love like orange creamsicle soda. Like that flavor of like an orange creamsicle in soda is like just to die for and delicious. Coke caramel macchiato. Oh, caramel macchiatos are good. Root beer, ginger ale, peach flavored iced tea. That's Paul Pates. Paul likes the sweet. Yeah, see, like cream soda is good, but like orange creamsicle soda, that's my jam. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, add the orange in there. I'm a sucker for like fake orange flavors too. Ooh, I have a good question for the chat. Whilst I draw, this is going to be Arabelle. Arbel. All right, so Arabelle's going to be here. Her head is going to be slightly down, kind of looking that way. She is going to be more kind of there. She is arm in arm. Arm in arm with? Who's she arm in arm with? That's right, Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Elizabeth's going to be here. She's going to have her rad outfit there. Her boss queen jacket there. Arm in arm. Her hand's going to be up here. Just blocking in the shapes first. She's going to be kind of leaning to Arabelle. Arabelle. Okay, I have a good question. Unsweetened iced tea is like coffee, but not very good. That's what Paul said. Oh, snap. Are you guys going to take that? I love this. Jim, are you going to take that from Paul? Okay, and then Philip said, I'm not a big soda drinker, but when I do, I love black cherry flavor. I agree with that. I feel like, was there a black cherry Pepsi a long time ago? I will tell you guys, just wild cherry Pepsi in a can. Again, I don't do soda a lot, but that is like, if you go for like a run, that's a pretty wildly awesome thing. All right, so we've got Henrietta. Henrietta is going to be over here. I kind of like that she'll be sort of smiling and close by as well. And she's going to be sort of there. And then we're going to have Robert. Henrietta's got to have her head lower. All right, we're working this out, guys. Henrietta's going to need her head lower. Robert's response needs to go there. And then Robert is going to be here, kind of speaking to them. He's going to have his arms out. Let's see. I like the idea of his arms being kind of like that. Henrietta is getting blocked out there. And then we're going to have... Okay, we're almost there, guys. It's just getting the structure here. And then we're going to have Penn down at the bottom. Down at the bottom. Early in the street. Something, something. Okay, anyhow. Oh, yeah. So I had a question for the chats. If you guys had to have like Starburst or Skittles or a candy of such fruit-flavored varieties, what is the best color and flavor of Starburst or Skittles? And if you guys end up having the same flavor as my favorite flavor, I will be blown away because I'm kind of a weirdo when it comes to my favorite Skittles or Starburst flavor. So put that to the chats. Skittles, Starburst, you guys are just walking down the street on a normal day, and then a hijacker comes up to you and says, tell me your favorite Skittles or Starburst, or I'm gonna whatever, and make some crazy threat, and you're under pressure to answer. What's your favorite Skittles or Starburst? Go. Oh, man. You know, Jim also talked about Shamrock Shakes on Ask Uncle Jimmy. On a very funny Ask Uncle Jimmy. Those are really delicious. Although I feel like when I have that, I feel like I'm gonna die after having it. To be honest, it's like there's some levels of sugar consumption where I'm like, I guiltily consume it, and then I'm like, yeah, I can't do that very often. And then Paul said, the Shamrock Shake tradition will always have Iowa, Jim. I love it. Gary, you do have to do a Shamrock Shake from McDonald's at some point. Just do it on, St. Patrick's Day. I agree with Paul. Did McDonald's have a Shamrock Shake? Yes. I've shaked so rarely, I find it difficult to pass up chocolate when I pull the pin from that grenade. I agree. Chocolate is a grenade that gets very dangerous. I don't know if this was ever in the US or not, but in Canada years ago, we used to have something called Pop Shop. They used to have different flavors you could choose from. There's soda shops, but I don't know if we have the Pop Shop, at least in California. So no, Skittles are not all the same flavor. They are not. And then also strawberry Starburst is Scott's favorite. Okay, we've got one answer. Yeah. Tell us about the Pop Shop. I want to know. Paul says, yes, shakes lead to a grenade when I have them, but it's solely worth it. Okay. You know what is bomb that I absolutely love? And I think the last time all of us got together, I think we went to like Johnny Rockets or something, like when Jim and Jeremy and I believe Scott and I think Ken was there. Anyhow, so we did a meetup, and I believe Mr. Corey Kerr was there. Anyhow, so we did this meetup, and we all ordered stuff, and I think that was the last time I had a malt. Now, malts are delicious. I love a good malt. Actually, I've kind of forgot to mention that with the top beverages, chocolate Coke at like a 50s diner where it's malt mixed with like Coke and like chocolate syrup. It's like I can't. Like that is so good that it makes me feel like I'm just cheating the system somehow. So in the background here on this, we need to have Charles and Alfred. It would be funny if I drew Alfred like the Alfred from Batman. But Charles is going to be here. Wait. Got to think of my future positioning of type. This is going to be okay. So we're going to have, for the positioning of the type, we're going to have Charles, who's whiter. He's broader gentleman. And he's wearing his Charlesy hat. And he's in charge, you guys, this Charles fellow. And then we have Alfred, who's going to be here. Maybe he'll be talking to Charles. Okay, we're not getting into details yet. We're just blocking it in. Okay, great. Okay, now we're going to have Penn is a lovely boy. He is spoiled, which is his mother's doing. He is spoiled, which is all his mother's doing. But yeah, if you guys haven't had chocolate Coke and you're a chocolate fiend, especially if you like black coffee, because it's like, I think it's more in that flavor palette. Not that it tastes like coffee, but it's more on that like deeper, richer part of your palate, which is all his mother's doing. Okay, that's going to be here. And then this is going to say, I cannot help it. He is such a sweet Okay, couple things that we already have to fix now that I'm kind of roughing out the type. Perfect. Also, Gary sent me a sample of 2 panels where he is doing the Frank King thing in Dinosaurs versus Marsbots, the upcoming one. And I don't want to show it on stream because I'm guessing Gary's keeping that under lock and key. But I will tell you guys, if you like that little Frank King trick that I was doing on the last page, there are a couple panels where Gary is using that exact same kind of theory and doing things in comics that only comics can do, which I think I will say, of the cartoonists I know, Gary definitely is doing that. Like, he's doing a lot of paneling and tricks that only comics can do, which I really appreciate. Remind me, what are the flavors of Skittles and Starburst? All right, so you've got lemon. I think with Skittles, it's lemon, lime. There's grape. There's strawberry. I can't remember if it's strawberry or cherry, but the red one is either strawberry or cherry. Lemon, lime, strawberry, cherry. I think it's just strawberry because I think I think it's cherry because there's extra Skittle packs that have like a pink Skittle. So it's just lemon, lime, cherry, grape, and then I think orange. I think those are. Am I missing any? I think that's it. And then with Starburst, it's you have let's see, you have strawberry, you have lemon, you have strawberry, lemon. I think they have grape in as well. Let me look up the basic flavors, but I'm pretty sure you have orange and lemon. I think that's it. I don't think I'm missing any Skittles. I mean, sorry, any Starburst. I think the classic yellow pack is that. And then Scott was saying I must have been thinking M&Ms or something. Yeah, the M&Ms all kind of have the same flavor, although some of the newer ones are different. Shakes are the bomb, said Paul Pate. Skittles all taste more or less the same to me. They do taste very similar. Corey Kerr of Shades fame. Yes, that was the Corey Kerr of Shades fame. Philip said, Jim, sadly, this is regarding the Pop Shop. Sadly, they are long gone ages ago, but basically you shopped at the production factory and they made dozens of flavors. You could pick and choose whatever selection you want. That's amazing. All right, guys, I got to actually sketch this. So we're going to have Arabelle here. Arabelle is going to be in the first panel. And we're just going to kind of block in their basic faces and stuff. And Arabelle is wearing Arabelle is going to have her sort of very similar hair. I just realized too, I want her kind of looking over. She's going to have her similar hair to Elizabeth in this section. And that little hair thing. Then she's going to have her part here. And I wanted her to actually have this hand, because this is like a very sisterly thing. Like if they're walking arm in arm, the one hand would be holding the other. And they're going to have, she's going to have her coat. And there we go. We've got her kind of worked out a little bit before I kind of get into Elizabeth, who's going to be here. Elizabeth is saying he cannot help it. He's such a sweet little thing. So she's going to be kind of looking up like, there we go. And her hair is just going to be like the rad Elizabeth hair, which is just black. Black like the color of my soul. Okay, so there's Elizabeth. She's going to be kind of leaning. We're having her lean. And she has her rad leather jacket going there. Arabelle is going to be arm over. So Arabelle's arm will be in the forefront. Elizabeth's arm will be here. And this will be, it's just tough with these interesting okay. Okay, we have some of this working out. And then we've got our giant sort of jacket that's going there. We have here is going to be, let me catch up with the chats too. Paul said, I can't eat Skittles or Starburst, kills my jaw. If I'm going to make that kind of effort, it's going to be for Milk Duds. Nice. Paul said, oh, before I go, I loved your vloggings yesterday about the Frank King thing. I may have done something slightly similar for Detective Perez. Might have to go back and look. Nice. Paul said, goodness, I need a nap. You're a superstar for doing these streams. Thank you. Keep it up. Thank you. Jim also pointed out vanilla Coke, which I agree is delicious. Charles had a lot of power for a babysitter. He was in charge for... of our days and nights. This was regarding my Charles and Cards joke, and also of our wrongs and rights. I like that. Nice. Gary said, in that case, lemon down the line for me. Okay, Gary, you and I are equally weird people. I'm going to reveal mine. I like that fake orange flavor so much. Like candy orange. I can't explain it. I think it's because it kind of tastes like baby aspirin. And when I was a kid, like all the baby aspirin would have this like flavor of like weird fake orange. And I just, yeah, that's what it was. Those crispy M&Ms are pretty great, Gary said. Mm-hmm. We're really torpedoing Josh's focus. Not at all, man. I'm happy to have you guys here. And then Scott said, I mean, each pack of M&Ms have the same flavor in it. They're different flavors of M&Ms. Agreed. Gary said, crispy, not crispy. That's the gang-affiliated M&Ms. Crispy M&Ms. They are. My wife heavily agrees with you, Gary. That movie Colors was just a metaphor for M&Ms. It's true. There was like street fights back in the day over M&Ms. But I will say, like, for candy flavors and fake flavors, something about that fake orange just completely kills me how good it is. I don't know. I think that might be why I like those orange creamsicle, flavors as well, because there's something about just artificial orange. It doesn't really taste like an orange. It's like a candy orange taste, that I cannot not dig the heck out of. All right, we're going to finish roughing out this panel so that I am not getting distracted. Because while I haven't been prior, I did get really fascinated. But I'm also appreciating you guys here. I hope you guys are making progress on your own art stuffs as well. And actually, she's supposed to be carrying a parasol, so I'm going to have to kind of somehow include the parasol. I might have to scatter these people around, but I like the idea of them being kind of in a packed little group, because we're going to zoom out eventually. There we go. Cool. There's Harriet. Did I say Arabelle? My goodness, you guys. How dare I? How dare he? All right. This is going to be Robert. Robert's nose should not be turning that way. If his head is turning that direction, that would be a little better. And Robert's got his neck beard thing going, which is pretty awesome. He almost has like a Lemmy for that time. Like he was really like the Motorhead of that era, Like really the song The Ace of Spades was just like a long lost to history poem by Robert Browning. What do you guys think? Does that hold water? Okay, we're going to draw our guy here. I'm actually kind of enjoying this a little bit. He's supposed to have a rad mustache. He's going to be like a kind of larger man, larger gentleman. And this guy has like a much more kind of standard Victorian gentleman getup, as well as a cane. So I'll have him holding his cane there. And this is going to be the chosen child. This is the child. And this child is supposed to be wearing like that weird Shakespearean thing. You guys remember that from the last page where he's got that like kind of weird neck tube from the Victorian era. Do you guys know what that's even called? I guess it would just be a collar, but it's an interesting thing. And then this is our last gentleman, who is right here, and he's going to have his sort of great, Scott. It's a pack of people, but I like the idea of them being kind of crunched together. They're all walking together. They're all enjoying themselves. And in the background, we're going to have our... In the background, we're going to have... What are we going to have in the background? Oh, that's right. So now I need this, not this. And then I want to catch up on chats because there was so much great talk of like sodas and candy and wonderful things. Okay. We're going to establish that they're kind of in like a tree-filled environment. So this is going to be sort of giving them like a path of trees. A path of trees is... And I feel like if you guys want to see some very cool forest scenes, stay tuned for Jim Lujan's The Night Eats Its Own, which my wife just chuckled at. Jim, it passed the My test. I don't know if we ever got to do the My test before, but literally when I was saying The Night Eats Its Own, I heard chuckling behind me. So Jim, you're in the clear. You're good. You're good to go. You've got a good name. Jim has the magical ability of cracking up my wife, Mai, with like pretty much any name that he comes up with for one of his projects. It usually has her snickering. Oh, man. I shouldn't have said snickering because now we're going to have to talk about ice cream Snickers. What do you guys think about Snickers ice cream bars? Now that we're talking goodies and treats. All right. Rough accomplished. Whew. That was a beast. All right. So that's only rough for one panel, but we've got to start here. You got to start somewhere. You have to start somehow. What better place than here? What better time than now? A little bit of rage for your morning. Rage quotes. Okay, let's get... Nice. Jim was saying his favorite Skittle flavor is lime. I like that you guys have interesting palates. Like that was Jim's. Frank is making threats about the 2 stories, 1 and 2. Gary said trying the hard sell to Frank. Scott said, I thought baby aspirin was pink flavor. There was an orange one back in the day. Gary, I've been binging Sopranos. It's like banana popsicles. I love them, but they taste nothing like bananas. I agree with that too. Dee Dee said he went for Skittles. Oh, that's where Jim went. Nice. And then Dee Dee said, got to run for a bit. Looking good, Josh. Thank you, Dee Dee. I always appreciate you stopping by. It's very fun. Gary said, thumbs down on peanuts. Give me almonds. And then Philip said later, Dee Dee. All right. So now that we've finished this panel, I'm going to go ahead and play the trailer for Jacob's apartment, and then we will get into panel 2. Although before I play the trailer, let me at least scoot some room. With all this madness that I've got here, it's going to help for me to make a little bit of room. A wee bit of room is not going to be bad. And then Frank said, Josh is a handsome artist. He is always looking good. That's true. As a handsome artist, I'd have to agree with Frank. All right, so we got Border Rough. Okay, we're in good standing for the next. You know what? We got a good 12 minutes till we're at the 2-hour mark. Before I play a trailer. Oh my goodness, you guys, Maplegate is back. Philip said, Frank, my friend in maple syrup, how are you? Telling you guys there's a maple conspiracy going on in the chats. Maplegate. Okay. So here we go. We're gonna I'm gonna get my thumbnail here too. Where is the thumbnail? All right, there's the thumbnail. So this was gonna be, I see what we were gonna do. This rough can go. Okay. So we were going to do for the second one, it's going to be the awkward silence. So this was going to be from sort of a standpoint of, we're going to have Arabelle here. So yeah, since it's awkward silence, it should be like almost expressionless. So that will be Arabelle. And this is going to be Elizabeth looking down. And this will be Henrietta. Henrietta is going to be kind of looking over a little bit. Henrietta's wearing that. We need the parasol to allow for other people to be in there, so we'll figure that out. It's going to be Robert looking a little concerned. And we'll have the kid. This might be like too tightly knit for people, but I think it works. Okay, I think we're getting there, guys. And we'll just go ahead and finish up this second panel just to like make sure we're getting some clarity. Okay. We have 2 panels roughed out, guys. And then Maple Gate continues. Where Philip was saying, let's see here. Oh, he was saying, are you a fan of Captain Canuck by Richard Comely? And then Philip said, I was never a huge comic book reader, but I am familiar with him. And then Frank was saying, I'll be up for weeks as I binge on maple syrup. And then Philip said, now I want pancakes. I wish I could make pancakes for dinner. I am going to make you very jealous, both of you guys, and let you know that I did have pancakes for breakfast this morning. That's right. I did. And it was pretty awesome. Okay. This is going to be where I take another real quick break. So I'm going to put on the trailer for Jacob's apartment, and we'll be right back to kind of rock and roll. It's going to be an interesting stream, but I think we'll get through the roughs of this page at minimum, hopefully shortly. So here we go.
Clearly it seems that only in dreams can we be these things we've seen and walk around breathing things. I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams.
Oh my goodness, I just left dead space. Okay, another trailer real quick while I get coffee. I apologize. It's like doing these midday, there's a few little things. So I'll be right back. Okay, here it is.
Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we these things we've seen and walk around breathing I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams.
Okay, sorry, I had to throw that on just while I got some coffee. We are not in a loop. Frank was saying we're in a loop. But he said, do you have maple syrup with your pancakes, Josh? I did, but it was just crappy McDonald's pancakes. I did like McDonald's breakfast because I'm like, hey, I got a day off. I'm gonna have some McDonald's breakfast, even though I'm gonna be cartooning all day long. But I did have McDonald's breakfasts, and they're cheap, which is not the best. I don't tend to do McDonald's, but when I do, I'm gonna rock some. I did the deluxe breakfast. Now I will say, like, some quality maple syrup, bottled maple syrup. I agree with you guys. I agree. I think that you are correct. So this is going to be. That's the awkward silence. And now it's going to say, does father. This is going to be a wider shot, so it's a little less zoomed in. Does father. No, we are in London. Before hanging out with Adam Lohr, I'd never heard of Brett Keane. And then I was on one of Adam's streams a long time ago and ended up in a debate with Brett Keane, which I was not expecting. And I didn't know who Brett Keane was. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And we talked, and it was like this crazy chaos. And from that, I discovered all these Brett Keaneisms because he's like a meme online. Like, he's like a very famous online kind of lolcow type character. And I had no idea because I was just talking to the guy as like a normal guy. But anyhow, now because of that, if you guys are familiar with Keaneisms, it's hard to write or read the word father without thinking of a cheesy Brett Keane song. Adam Lohr, you have ruined my brain. I'm joking. But anyhow, I thought you guys might get a kick out of that. Just the fact that now, because of that, he's literally ruined the word father for me. Not in a bad way. I'm just kind of memeing, but kind of funny. Okay, we were not brave enough to tell him. So Henrietta is going to be saying, we were not brave enough to tell him. Did I have this? Let me look at my thumbnail real quick. I'm just wanting to make sure I worked this out where it would actually work with the text. Okay, we do have to kind of, okay, this is going to kind of work. Okay, I see what I was planning there in my little gibberish at the beginning of this. So this is going to be her saying, and this is great because I am already telling, like, one thing that happens once you start getting a little further into roughs is you start loosening up a little bit, like in a really positive way. It's going to be her saying, and what is she wearing again? I'm trying to remember. Ah, yes. Okay. She's wearing that sort of interesting cut of thing. Her arm is around there. Okay. Got it. And this is Elizabeth basically saying, like, does father know? And Elizabeth is wearing her awesome arm. Her awesome. Did I just say she's wearing her awesome arm? That was definitely some like spacing out while sketching. Elizabeth is wearing her jacket while this dialogue is going on. So here she is saying, does father know? And here she is going to be saying, I am sorry, Ba. Ba, by the way, is the nickname for Elizabeth Barrett Browning that her family and her close relatives use. I would be interested. I'll have to ask Lavender, the writer, if she knows like where that originates from. You know, this is going to be her saying. This is going to be Henrietta. Henrietta's chiming in. And she's going to be holding her. Now, Henrietta just has like some puffy sleeves going. That doesn't make sense. You guys, you can chuckle at that too if you want, but that was not the proper. There we go. That would be a little bit. a little bit more on angle for like the parasol. So that makes a little more sense for the parasol there. And then down here, we were going to have her saying, okay, there's a little bit of space issues that I'm working out here. Her saying, we were not brave enough to tell him. We were not brave enough to tell him. There we go. We were not brave enough to tell him. And then here is going to be Robert just kind of walking. And we're going to have the little boy. And then we're going to have our other friend who's got the crazy hair. And our mustachioed friend. I want to clarify that this is her hand too for the rough. Some more trees. Okay, all of these are kind of tight shots, but it kind of makes sense like in the context of the story because we're pulling into kind of a more intimate moment after like a very overhead shot of the group. And then from at the very last panel of this is going to be kind of clarifying a little bit more of the kind of scenery going on here. Let's see. Let's see here. So
You decided I just couldn't do it.
He said, "Oh, my son's back from school. Hi, Ben."
And then school was over? Or
Hi, buddy. Oh, school didn't go so well?
apparently he was taking a writing test and for writing, they were doing a writing assignment and Benjamin got stuck at the beginning trying to think of what to write. Couldn't write.
My mom
Raises his hand, asks the teacher to tell her that he doesn't know what to do or that he can't write. He's like stuck.
Yeah.
She tells him that he's complaining and starts yelling at him. And then apparently Benji starts crying.
Okay, maybe we'll off stream.
So there's
Yeah. Oh.
Mom?
Okay, well we can talk about it. I'm almost done with my roughs and thumbs. I guess Ben had a rough day at school. All right, so that's too bad.
Well, I have to find out what happened, honey.
Let's see. There might have been some trouble. Okay, so now we're gonna have our last phase.
Perspective in this situation, how class goes. Okay, yes.
Okay. My goodness, I'm almost wondering, should I stop or am I good to finish the rough?
I don't know. I mean, I gotta talk to him. So if he talks, I gotta talk to him. That's
Oh,
all.
yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'll be there in a second. Philip said, I got to lie down and take some weight off my back. I'll check in later on. Yeah, definitely, dude. Don't stress your back or anything like that. I'm going to just real quickly rough out this last sequence. So this was just going to be the, but you are here. How can I be unhappy? So this is going to be, but you are here. And then it's going to say, how can I be unhappy? How can I be unhappy? So that's the that's basically the text that's going to happen. And then this is going to be like more of an overhead shot. So we'll have to kind of figure that out. But I think it's going to be here where we're going to have Elizabeth sort of giving a hug. It's like a partial hug. So a partial hug to Arabelle. Arabelle, maybe it's like that kind of hug. I like that. Her arms will be down, actually, kind of. Okay. Okay, and that's going to be Elizabeth's. And then we're going to have Henrietta here. Henrietta is going to be here and holding her parasol. Maybe this will be from above. She has like her high-waisted thing going. And then we'll have Robert here. Robert should be looking towards them. So Robert is going to be here, sort of walking, but looking. And I liked the idea of him holding hands.
I'm just trying to tell you that if you want to, you can do that. You were talking about it this morning.
I don't want to right now, but maybe later.
Okay. And that's going to be Robert with his son. And then we're going to have in the background here, we're going to have, I believe this is Charles and then Alfred.
I think I know something that might cheer me up a little.
Charles, poor Ben, had a rough day at school.
Maybe a little hiding from someone.
So there's Charles, and then Alfred will be here, kind of smiling.
But if you don't want to do Lego Minecraft, then we can just do regular Minecraft.
Just hang on, okay? I gotta put these dogs. Once they're done, they probably
And Alfred's going to be here, and then we're going to have our sequence that's based on that kind of sort of giant thing. And turn off the thumbnail now. this is going to be somewhat of an overhead of the thing we're seeing right up here, like up on the top left. It's like this. Now I'm blanking out again. We figured out what it was too. It was a griffin. There's like griffins lining this kind of interesting veranda type thing. It's gonna have like a griffin. And again, this is a rough for the composition of the page. So we don't need this to be perfection or anything. Griffin lined thing.
I feel like I want to do something different. We have to.
Your teacher feels like she did very well too. And then you.
But I wasn't helping.
And some of this drama sounds like stuff I might have to go to kind of deal with
I gave up because
with the kid.
He wasn't actually helping. You were trying to retell the story and to live up for it.
Retell the story. What?
Retell the story and to live everywhere.
That's the title of the book.
Yes.
Ants are everywhere.
And to live everywhere.
Ants live everywhere.
Okay, so we have this like sort of
Why didn't you write about it?
thing.
I was telling her at the beginning. Well, once I got to the middle, that's when I got stuck.
You didn't
Okay.
remember what happened, or you didn't.
Now I'm going to try to knock this out. And then hopefully I will have to go deal with the kind of drama from the school stuff in a second. So this is going to be Elizabeth here saying something about being happy. So we're going to fill in the blanks with Elizabeth here.
I said yes on every question. So when she said, did you write the sentence for nil? I responded no. And she said, well, let's do it. Yeah. Which wasn't any advice.
I remember when I would write with you, sometimes like this, that I think you might be misunderstanding the teacher. Okay? It sounds to me more like Mrs. Disbrow was trying to help you, and you didn't understand that she was helping you. And instead of taking her advice,
Okay, this is her hugging.
you may be.
She was trying to help me, but the advice she was giving me wasn't actually helping me.
She wasn't giving you the answers. She was wanting you to come up with them, right?
Yes, and that's
Okay,
the
so
thing I
that's-
needed help with, actually.
That's because she wanted you to write them on your own, but she was trying to encourage you to write.
Okay, and then we're going to do, this is Elizabeth kind of hugging her, and then we need just to like get this last part.
Is she's telling you, I can't tell you what to write, but you do need to write. So try to think positively. You're not a bad boy. It's sometimes overwhelming to write.
I was even feeling, this is the. I was feeling,
And
I'm the worst person ever.
Yeah, because you couldn't think of what to
we have this stuff.
The thing is, she was trying to tell you, I can't tell you what to write because you have to do it on your own, right? That's third grade.
And then this is
Mama, now we can't find
Harriet.
Alex's voice.
Harriet's over here.
Now I can't find Alex's voice.
And
Where were you?
Harriet is wearing, what was Harriet wearing again?
Those 3 places and try to find it.
Harriet's wearing
Don't forget the kitchen table area too.
kind of a more standard outfit, but this is going to be
I just did.
one of these with a hand. And we're going to have this here with the
Mom, it's not in here.
parasol.
I think we have a problem.
And then we're going to have Robert.
Oh, I found him.
Robert's going to have his eye is like way too far apart. So we've got
Anyways, if
Robert here.
picture it up, I want to play with someone.
And Robert's going to have his thing.
So now we need to play with someone.
This is going to be a smile.
It takes a lot to do that.
Robert's hair is usually a little more.
It's probably going to take us some homework.
I have no idea what our dog Scotch is freaking out about, but
Because I'm trying to give Sydney water and a chance to pee. So
oh, okay. The dog we're watching is getting water, and so Scotch is little, very angry little Chihuahua that we love, but he's kind of just mad that there's another dog in the house, as Chihuahuas will be, if you guys heard that. Okay, so we have our stepping going on here.
and you have a moment where you panic, you feel like you don't know what to do, you don't know what to write. It's up to you to calm down. Your teacher.
Well, it wasn't possible. I was in freak out mode.
Okay, so I'm
I
gonna
was in
finish
crisis
this
mode.
in a second.
Because it actually was a huge problem.
And we're gonna have to wrap this very soon.
If I didn't get help, I would never be able to complete that assignment.
And we're gonna almost get there. Let's see, we've got the last part,
However, the teacher let me skip the assignment
which is gonna be
because I was having way too much trouble.
this is gonna
Or
be
something like that.
Pen
The
having.
teacher didn't tell me the reason why she was making me skip it.
Okay, so then we're gonna have this,
Just let me finish early.
and then this,
Okay, so it sounds like actually you have a very nice.
and then this, and then we're gonna have our last part, which is gonna be
If you spend hours and hours in a negative attitude
having.
and telling yourself bad things and refusing to work, eventually anybody might yell at you. Even mommy probably would.
Okay, so we're gonna have this moment.
But it's only because people get frustrated. If you're saying help me, help me, help me, and they're saying I'm trying.
Okay,
to
this is gonna
help
happen.
you,
And we have
eventually they're
his
gonna
writing
raise their
going.
hands and say, I tried to help
If anyone is stream hopping tonight, please come by mine, Philip said. Nice. Frank said, I have to get ready for church. I should iron my freshly laundered clothes. Laundered. Sorry, laundered sounds like almost like a but enjoy your church service.
Well,
There,
in
Frank.
this case, that may have been one of those things. And
Okay, so I think we have
started
this kind of worked out.
get confused and not being able to actually complete that.
And then we're going to kind of have our stuff. And we're going to kind of get our characters here. And I think we are getting close. This is the worst arch in perspective I've ever drawn In reality, what I should have done is kind of like more of this type of thing to kind of correct the arch. So if I do that, I'll instantly know where it went wrong. So that's kind of it. Now we're just going to add a little bit of a path to it. Like, let's check out what they have around it. Sounds like there are gateways. My goodness, there is dog barking and all sorts of stuff in the background. So we are going to do some corrections here. We're going to get this going here. That's going to be like the gate that's sort of over there. It seems like this kind of connects over here. And
Part of being in school is knowing that you're there to learn, and that learning can be fun. Okay? That it's not all about hard.
okay, so then we're going to have our...
I'm trying to say, it doesn't mean you have to be perfect, and it doesn't mean that you have to be the best or anything like that. All it means is you have to give it a try.
Okay.
I tried my hardest, but
And we are going to do
I couldn't pick up any sentences.
this.
But Benji, if you know what happened in the story, then you should have been able to write more sentences.
Well, I just didn't know what's right.
All right, so then we're going to have
I didn't know which of the
a little bit of a park background going on, and I think that's going to do it for our rough. Oh my gosh, you guys. So we have managed to kind of make this work. I'm very excited about the way this has come out. Thanks to everybody who's hung out with me during this stream, and we have another page roughed, which is pretty exciting, honestly. So thank you guys. Again, like if you hung out, I really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who's shown up. I encourage you guys to check out everyone who's appeared in the chats, channels and stuff like that. And I will probably be live streaming again in about like an hour or two. And then also we have art casters tonight, but I'm planning on doing at least one more rough page so that I have a good chunk to send to my publisher. And it's a catch-up day, so that's the whole point. Thanks. If you guys haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll get notifications when we're about to go live. And I'll see you on the next live stream. Bye.